All right, Shalom. I'd like to start out with saying, Call Halayim Le Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah, double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, double honor to our elder apostle as well, her one by Yasharala, down in the Lions and Kim. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing this truth, sincerity, and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Khanak on by Yasharala from the Lions and the Yasharala camp, and this is another Lions and News and Prophecy. So here we go. It says, Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1, it says, Speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written on paper, for they are faithful and true. All right. You know, let's keep going. It says, Fear not the imagination against thee, let not the incredulity of them that trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. And incredulity means unbelief, disbelief. Because one major prophecy of the fall of Babylon, people want to try to ignore and not believe in. But like it says, Romans 3:3. So what if some did not believe? It doesn't matter what they believe or not. But the prophecies are still gonna come to pass the way the Lord designed them to. It is what it is. So you got a lot of people that they want to scoff and things like that. Say, oh, shut up, nigga, y'all don't know nothing. Take personal stabs at you. That still ain't gonna stop these prophecies. You know, it still ain't gonna stop the Lord bringing judgment on this earth. So people just around here playing, man. They playing, act like they playing with the Lord, but no, they playing with their damn self. Because at the end of the day, the Lord's gonna bring judgment on this earth, man. The bottom line, He's going to bring judgment on the earth. And you can try to act like you don't see it, or you don't believe it, but it don't matter. None of that matters because this what's going on right here in the Middle East. We're witnessing America struggle with a small country like Iran. Iran is like low key, almost considered like a small proxy nation. You see that? And the United States cannot handle them. So imagine if they were to go out in an all-out war against Russia or China. This is what this is exposing. Everybody felt like America was the powerhouse nation on this earth, right? When nobody could come against America. But really, nobody wasn't fearing the United States. They were fearing the conglomerate of buildup of NATO and the EU and and America together. Like the European Union financing the money and NATO helping with military backing. So that's what people are afraid of. Now, the United States by itself is showing weakness. See that? They can't even stand up against Iran. So now all the tough guy talk, right? All the super tough guy talk being spoken on by Donald J. Trump, DJ Nero 47, right? Now he's pivoting from that. First, how many times did he say, "Oh, he's gonna wipe Iran off the map"? They're never gonna be. It's gonna be like they never existed. But the scriptures say they're gonna be as if they never existed. All right. So check this article out. I'm not gonna make this too long, but I got a couple more articles I gotta touch on. But it says Trump pivoted from bombs to an economic war against Iran, but Tehran is now fully offensive and doesn't think the real fight has even started yet. And the crazy part about it is the United States is running out of munitions. And I got to do a lesson on another story where um the stockpile pile Iran and the United States were attacking each other's stockpile um uh facilities, right? It did more damage to the United States because the United States didn't have any backing from anybody else to help replenish those. But Russia has came to the aid of Iran to help them with their stockpiles to replenish them so they'll be ready for war, ready to fight at all times. See that? See that? Nobody's coming to the United States' defense. So like, It says President Trump has repeatedly uh, signaled he is in no hurry to reach a deal with Iran as he pivots from all-out war to a campaign of economic pressure, which is probably should have did in the beginning, but it ain't gonna it ain't gonna take no effect now because the United States has spent too much money in this war. They have too much money invested in this war. So you try to fight on the economic front, and they're being backed economically by Russia and China, and you're trying to use these navy blockades to put pressure, all right, on Iran, but and try to use that to fully open the Strait of Hormuz. It says after 40 days of heavy bombing and 2 more weeks of daily attacks, the U.S. is now relying on naval blockades to force Iran to fully open the Strait of Hormuz and return global oil markets to normalcy. That's not going to happen because I just seen another article where Trump said allegedly um, he's telling the American people to just to deal with the gas prices. Deal with it. Yeah, I know it's hard to make ends meet, even harder to make ends meet now, but so what? Deal with it. See that? Not even giving a, not even caring about how this war, pointless war that he's fighting, is affecting the American people. But all y'all voted for this guy. All y'all wanted this guy. You say he was the man. Now look what he's doing. He said, but the regime has plans to go back into attack mode soon. If there's no diplomatic progress, forcing the U.S. to back into a major conflict, just as vulnerabilities have emerged in its own military. Let me tell you what those vulnerabilities are. You got the USS Abraham Lincoln. You got they barely got any food on there. They're working 16-hour days, like 6 7 days a week. Like allegedly one sailor committed suicide and jumped overboard. It says the morale is down. The morale is down. They're sending pictures of the conditions to family members. Family members are getting upset, asking for answers. Why they're fighting for the freedom of America? Why are they going through these conditions that they're going through? You know. So the morale is down. You know. Nobody even understands why they're even fighting this war. Meanwhile, you know, you got Netanyahu, whatever his name is, you know, pulling the strings, dictating how this goes. Every time America wants to de-escalate, they do something to ramp up more escalation. And then you got Iran. I did a lesson a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, said that Iran is really baiting the United States into escalation. Iran is trying to pick it up. Iran wants an actual hot war. That's why it says he said the real fight has not started yet. You know, it says Iran has shifted from a defensive stance to a fully offensive. One a senior Iranian official told Reuters on Monday, citing the stalemate with the United States with the U.S. on talks. Like they don't want to talk. You know, it says unless the U.S. implements the June ceasefire deal in a few weeks, Iran will launch a timely and precise attack to break the blockade, the official warned. See that? It says Iranian entities must be prepared to escalate tensions in the Strait of Hormuz and wider regions as Iran will be ready to make decisions and take action on difficult decisions, the official added. The threat comes after Iran recently reorganized its military to be more aggressive as factions in the government abandon hopes for negotiation. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to talk. You know, you can't think because you got big muscles that, you know what I'm saying, you can flex your muscles and get, you know what I'm saying, people to respond to that. Because I done seen plenty of people with big muscles and they're not strong at all. So while you flexing your muscles, Iran wanted to see where your strength was really at. And now that's exposed. They totally exposed the US, man. Totally exposed it. Right? It says sources told the Wall Street Journal Arab intelligence detected preparations for a wider war, including the development of Iranian commanders, weapons, and intelligence to regional militias aligned with the regime. So they preparing for war. Let all the men draw nigh. This is what Yahweh Shimei Al Shai wants. He wants war, and he's gonna get it. It says Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has also drawn up plans for more escalations, such as sabotaging internet cables in the Persian Gulf, um, fomenting unrest in neighboring states with large Shia population, and even a political ground assault in Kuwait, the report added. There is also a widespread view in Iran that the main war has not yet begun. Mohammed Hassan Sengarash, a Tehran-based defense analyst close to the Iranian government, told the journal. What we have seen so far is increasingly interpreted through the lens of salami slicing tactics, limited incremental escalation designed to weaken capabilities before a larger confrontation. Right. So it's like a jab to soften up to get ready for the haymaker. So that was a stiff jab that Iran is using, man. Tighten up that jab. You got a tight jab. It can psychologically get into the mind of your opponent. If you got a real stiff jab and that jab affects and hurts the opponent, they're like, if the jab is that strong, how the how strong is their right cross? You know, it says despite seeing its conventional forces decimated by the United States Israeli bombardment earlier in the war, Iran has seen its tactical situation improve recently. Has developed new missiles that are better at evading air defense, making U.S. military assets and allies' oil infrastructures around the region more vulnerable. The U.S. military has also expanded much of its interceptor stockpiles, expended much of its interceptor stockpiles, which is now so low it reportedly forced into Trump's decision to call off major re-escalation of war. But they don't have what's needed. They don't have the equipment. In addition, even maintaining the naval blockade has strained U.S. forces as the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier struggles with mental health and supply issues amid a record long time at sea. Another carrier is on the way to take its place, but other ships performing blockade operations are likely facing similar logistical concerns. See that? It's falling apart, man. The conditions could be ripe for Iran to test U.S. resolve and give the harm the U.S. blockade was causing. Iran wasn't expected to stand idly by, especially now that it has more military leverage to exploit. Uh, Majid Reza Hariri, the head of the Iran China Joint Chamber of Commerce, recently admitted the U.S. blockade will eventually inflict more economic damage than actual war. To avoid this, he urged the regime to do whatever it takes to end the blockade, whether through negotiations supplication, threats, supplications, threats, or even war. We must also eliminate the perce- perception in the U.S. that it can resort to such an action whenever it wants and make it understand that the consequences of such a move could be severe. See that? What does that sound like? It sounds like this right here. Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1. It says, "Come sit down in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." You can't throw your weight around anymore. You won't. You'll walk around here like you're untouched, but you shall be touched, and that's a promise from the Iranians. See that? Take millstones and grind mill, uncover the locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. See that? The Lord's going to strip everything of this place. It's already stripping the hegemony, you know. You know, so now America has spoiled all these nations. Now it's time for the spoiler to get spoiled. You know, so be on the lookout for. I got another lessons on these couple more articles, man. Trying to go heavy into these prophecies and current events of what's going on over there in the Middle East. All right. Lord willing, this lesson to edify and serve purpose for the hope of elect, the ones that truly believe in the name Yahweh Shemal Shai. With that, I like to call Halayim, La Yahweh. Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, double honors to our elder apostles, the well her one by Yasha, all down the lines and camp. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, sincerity and truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shai. Shalom.